All right, let's dive in. Everyone's talking about the next big thing in AI, but it's not what you think. It's not about making a smarter AI brain. Nope, it's about giving that brain a place to actually work. And that's where this project, Orgo, comes in. It could be, and I mean this, the most crucial piece of infrastructure for the entire AI workforce that's coming.
It really all comes down to this one question. For years now, right, we've been building these incredible AI minds. Your GPTs, your Claudes. They can think, they can reason, they can even get creative. But, and this is a big but, there's a huge piece missing. How do they, do anything? How do they actually interact with the digital world? That's the problem we're going to unpack.
And the timing for this is just perfect. We're at this inflection point right now in 2026. AI has taken this massive leap. It's not just some clever chatbot you mess around with anymore. We're talking about businesses actively looking to hire what they're calling digital employees. These are AI agents that can actually handle really complex, multi-step jobs.
So that leads us straight to the central issue, the big limitation. For all their smarts, these AI agents, they're kind of like brains in a jar. Seriously, they've got all this incredible processing power, but nowhere to use it. They're brilliant, but they're basically paralyzed.
Let me break that down for you. Think of a super powerful model like GPT-5. It's amazing, right? But it's trapped inside its own code. It literally can't open your Excel sheet. It can't click a button in your company's accounting software. It can't just drag a file from one folder to another. Why? Because it has no hands, no eyes, and no computer of its own to work on.
Okay, so to solve this massive problem, a whole new field of tech is popping up. It's called Computers for Agents, or CUA for short. And its entire purpose, its whole mission, is to give AI that missing digital body. This is the technology that lets an AI actually see a computer screen, move a mouse, and type on a keyboard, basically act just like a human user would.
And this, right here, is where Orgo comes into the picture. It's one of the key projects in this brand new CUA space, and it's being built from the ground up with one goal: to be the go-to digital workstation for this new class of AI employees.
Honestly, this is the best way to think about it. If AI models are the new digital employees, then Orgo is providing their cubicles, their computers, their tools. See, Orgo isn't trying to build a smarter AI brain, not at all. It's building the office. It's the fundamental infrastructure, the computer, the desk, the secure room, where any AI, doesn't matter who made it, can clock in and get to work.
So how does it actually pull this off? Well, it focuses on three really critical things. First off, speed. We're talking an AI getting a brand new, secure desktop environment in under half a second. It's crazy fast. Second, security. This is huge. Each AI agent works in its own little isolated sandbox, its own cubicle, so it can't mess with other AIs or access sensitive data. And third, it's super simple for developers. They get these clean, easy-to-use commands to tell the AI what to do, like click here, type this.
Okay, now let's talk about the business strategy, because this is where things get really, really smart. Argo is playing the classic selling shovels in a gold rush game. Think about it. They don't care if the winning AI brain comes from OpenAI or Google or Anthropic. It doesn't matter. They all need a place to run. So by providing that essential tool, that digital shovel, Argo profits from the growth of the entire industry, which is a way safer bet than trying to pick the one winner in this crazy competitive market.
All right, so the big question on your mind is probably, what's the investment case here? How big could this thing actually get? Let's talk about the numbers.
Okay, so get this. As of early 2026, Orgo's market cap is sitting at around $4 million. $4 million. That number alone should tell you just how early we are to this party. That is a tiny valuation for a project that's trying to solve such a fundamental problem. And of course, what does that spell? High risk, for sure, but also potentially very high reward.
And just look at the potential scale here. If we're being conservative, a base case scenario where Argo just becomes a standard tool for developers, you're looking at a $100 million plus valuation. But in the bull case, the one where AI agents really take off and thousands of businesses are using them, we could be talking about a valuation north of $1 billion. The jump from 4 million to that, it's just massive.
So you might be wondering, how on earth can they afford to build all this computer infrastructure? And the answer is pretty clever. They use a model called DePIN. That stands for Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Network. Basically, instead of building their own giant expensive data centers, they let a global network of users rent out their spare computer power. And in exchange for providing that power, those users get rewarded with Orgo tokens.
And this gives them a massive competitive advantage. Think about it. A traditional company has to pay huge bills to Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure, right? And they just pass those costs on to you, the customer. But Orgo's DePIN model completely flips that on its head. It could dramatically lower their operating costs, which means they can offer their service for cheaper. It's a huge edge.
Now look, Orgo is not alone here. Of course not. An opportunity this big, you better believe there's a race to see who can build the go-to digital workplace for AI.
But before we look at the competition, there is one single, massive difference you need to get. It's what separates Orgo from pretty much everyone else. Most of their rivals, they trap the AI inside a web browser. That's it. Orgo, on the other hand, gives the AI control over the entire operating system. That means it can use Excel, it can use local apps, it can use anything on the computer, not just websites. For actual businesses, this is an absolute game changer.
So let's just quickly break down the competitive landscape. You've got players like BrowserBase who are focused purely on browser infrastructure. Again, they can't touch desktop apps. Then you've got the smart agent brains like Skyvern or Multion. They're amazing at the AI part, but they still need an environment to run in. And finally, you've got the big guys, the model makers like Anthropic. They make the AI, but they need a platform like Argo for that AI to do anything. You see the pattern? Argo isn't really competing with them. It's the platform they all could end up using.
Okay, but let's be real for a second. This isn't a sure thing. There are some major roadblocks. The biggest one, security and compliance. I mean, how do you convince a big company that their private data is safe running on a decentralized network of random computers? That is a massive challenge. And then, of course, there's the elephant in the room, big tech. What's to stop a giant like Microsoft from just building their own version of this and bundling it with Azure?
So, let's wrap this up. What's the final takeaway? And more importantly, if you're keeping an eye on this space, what are the key signs you should be watching for to see if Orgo can actually succeed?
First thing to understand is just how big this moment could be. A lot of people who know their stuff are comparing this whole computers for agents field to the rise of VMware back in the 2000s or Docker in the 2010s. Now, those weren't just popular products, right? They were fundamental, ground-level shifts in how computing was done, and they created multi-billion-dollar industries. That is the potential scale we're talking about.
So, if you're watching Orgo this year, here are the 3 metrics that really matter. First, pure adoption. Look at the number of active virtual desktops. That tells you if AIs are actually using the network. Second, partnerships. Are big AI frameworks like Crew AI or AutoGen starting to integrate with Orgo? That's a massive signal that it's becoming an industry standard. And finally, look at the token itself. Is the network's usage actually creating real value for people who hold the token? That's key.
So, what's the verdict? At the end of the day, it's pretty straightforward. Orgo is a high-risk, high-reward play. But what's so interesting is that it's not a bet on which AI brain is going to win. It's a bet on the underlying infrastructure, the digital office building that all of them are going to need.
And that leaves us with one last kind of wild thought. As all this technology gets better and better, you have to ask yourself, in a few years, when your company hires a new team member, will they be sitting in the cubicle next to you? Or will they be an AI agent, working away quietly inside their own digital cubicle, powered by a network just like Orgo?